What's up, Alphas? It's your boy, Zelmae. Looking cute, looking clean, looking sexy. I'm back in the stew, back in the office, and I'm here with the one, the only Afro Coming 765 to talk about a little bit about the Batman, who is doing very well in the box office, looking like it's competing for movie of the year if Doctor Strange don't take over, and we know how Marvel do, but DC got a hit today. Tori, how you feeling today?
I'm good. It's been a good day. Like I said, even though I've been taking L's on my early movie opinions here in the past few months, but other than that, ready to rock and roll. Actually, praise Bruce Wayne for once. It's a weird day because I am a thorough Bruce Wayne hater, but he got over with me. He really did.
Speaking of that, we're gonna talk about that later.
I mean, we're gonna talk about
that later on. But the first thing I want to bring up is how great this movie actually was. I want to bring up from the cinematography, from the angles, how beautiful it looked. The city of Gotham was absolutely perfect, gritty, felt like a dump that Batman would live in. Felt like a place that Arkham Asylum would be.
Best Gotham.
Felt like the place that Arkham Asylum would be greatly looked at. Also, it looked like a place that's worse than
everything fit in the city.
Yeah, it looked like a place that Central City is not better. Is better than 100%. But I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna get this out the way because we're gonna try to do this real quick. This is probably the best Batman for me in terms of just Batman. And we're going to talk about the other part that I hated later on. But in terms of Batman, the music, cinematography, the feel of Batman, the way Batman acted, the way how everybody reacted to Batman, from it being, what kind of freak are you walking around?
Down to the footsteps.
Yeah. What kind of freak are you to walk around a bat suit? What is wrong with you? And that's how everybody reacted. And I feel like that's how you should.
Just beating up criminals.
Yeah, like what kind of dude walks around? What kind of freak walks around in a bat suit and beats up people, and we just let him run around and do whatever, which is a purpose that the movie went on later on to expose, as we're going to talk about in a minute. Tori, how did you feel about the movie?
I like I said, I went into this movie completely ready to hate it. Like I said, I'm not the biggest Bruce Wayne fan, but they won me over. You hit the nail on the head from the opening shot of this movie. Like, it's hard hitting. It gets you right from jump, and it manages to keep you the whole way. And like I said, I started this out thinking, like a lot of people, like, how are you about to make dang near 3 hours with the Riddler as the main villain? How is this going to be a good movie? And well, you can see how it was. I mean, man, just everything. And like, Gotham there's never, and I'm still, like I said, I'm stark standing on Dark Knight is still the best Batman. But I mean, even the Gotham City in this, I mean, I don't think people will understand until they see it how much I feel like the whole city was a character in this movie. And it was an amazing actor. Like, and that came with everything from the shots to the club scenes, everything, even down to the political parts. And I mean, just every part of the city seemed like the worst place on earth. Like,
even the creepy camera angle.
You understand, bro. The camera angles in this movie were next level. Like, and they took angles from a lot of other media and a lot of, like I said, a lot of obscure stuff that I didn't even know was being referenced until the videos afterwards. Like, a lot of people, like, I caught a lot of the looser references and a lot of the more casual like references, but they got so in depth with this movie that, like, it was a real, you can tell, like, it was like, we're not going to make a bad Batman movie this time around. And I hope this is setting the tone for the DC films to come, because they've shot so many shots in the movie department, and I mean, we know how many of them are misses. This is a direct hit, bullseye. Like, I'm not saying round every movie in reality and take out the super portions, and I'm not really saying that this movie does that, because there's a part that Zelmae is going to talk about later where definite superpowers were used. I mean, it was a magical moment.
Yeah.
But it's I didn't expect this movie to be so good. Like I said, I went in with low expectations, and I was thoroughly blown away. Like, and even like I said, the difference in Bruce Wayne in the movie, like, we'll get into that, but I mean, a lot of people didn't care for it, and then also a lot of people that were like, oh, I like this because of this reason. And it was, I didn't see as much sniping as I thought I was going to see. There weren't a whole lot of, like, I'm pretty sure everyone's pretty much like joined in hands kind of around the fact that we actually got a good movie from DC.
Yeah. I think this is more of a narrative they're kind of going in now, and I think it's working. It worked with the Joker, because this is not a superhero movie.
It did. I was about to say, see, for some reason, I don't be counting the Joker because it was such a good movie too, but Batman is kind of hard not to equate him to DC. Like, they couldn't just push him as far away as they did, and because the Joker was a big departure, but like still a true shooting arrow at the same time. It was, and they did the same thing again, which is one of the reasons why I'm so let down that if the Joker is in it and it's not Joaquin Phoenix, I'm just man, because these feel like they're in the same world, even though, I mean, we don't know, and canonically I believe they've already came out and said they're separate. So even though we all know Joaquin Phoenix should be the Joker, at least for the foreseeable future, I mean, if we have to sacrifice him for an actual decent Batman movie, I mean, it was pretty good.
Yeah. Like I said, it's not a superhero movie, so if you're going in there thinking it's a superhero movie, no. And to Tori's point earlier, the Riddler, how did you make a 3-hour Riddler movie? You don't put the Riddler in there much.
Yeah.
You make everything around the Riddler.
You also make it a lot more about, you don't put Bruce Wayne in there much.
Yeah, that's something we're gonna talk about too. Because it was certain scenes in this movie I felt like Bruce should have distinct difference between Batman, because I felt like in that one public scene, which makes it okay for me, but it's still awkward that he doesn't switch personalities, and he still has the same tendencies Batman has. Now, I know that people are going to argue that, oh, this is how you act when you do this, but he's a sociopath. Sociopaths tend to have this ability to switch in the area they need be.
To disassociate.
Yes, because, again, who's better than Bruce Wayne to be Batman if people like, we never see this guy, but we always see this guy. He got to be this guy because they do the same tendencies. They like to stare at people for 30 seconds. They both walk very heavy, and they have the same walk. And I'm like, they have the same tone.
Does Bruce Wayne still have some eye makeup on?
Yeah, but but he wouldn't. I can't harp on it a lot though. Even though we did film one yesterday, I harped on it a long time. But I just wanted to get my point across. I'm kind of condensing my point today to make a shorter video for y'all, because I accidentally deleted one yesterday.
Hey, he's a sucker for continuity, folks.
Yeah, but the reason Batman becomes a playboy is because he can disassociate himself from Batman, and he can get in places that Batman can never get into, because wealthy people who doing crime would want Bruce Wayne there, and they probably don't want Batman there. So that's a reason why he does that. And I know,
but I also I like how they showed that at a certain point. I like how they showed the difference between Batman and Bruce Wayne, like in the multiple club scenes. You get to see how they react to Batman, how they react to Bruce Wayne. It's night and day.
But they understood in that situation. I'm not mad at that one. I'm talking about the funeral, but in that situation, I'm not mad because I would expect Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, the funeral was an awkward moment. It really it was, but for some reason it felt like in place for me. Like even though
I felt like he was showing too many Batman tendencies. That's my only beef with it. I'm like, this dude looking at
Yeah,
this kid
yeah.
the same way Batman looked at this kid, and this kid should be like, yo, this dude looking at me the same way. I feel eerie. This feel like deja vu. Are you Batman? Like, I'm sorry.
I mean,
I'm sorry.
in all
I'm sorry.
reality,
Kids are not dumb, dog.
if the
Kids
kid
are not
actually
stupid.
realized, he'd be like, it's Batman.
The kids are not stupid. I know we like to pretend, oh, it's a little kid.
They're
He wouldn't know
not.
no different. I guarantee you, my
They're
nephew.
brutally honest.
I'm telling you, my nephew would tell you that's Batman. You staring at me too long. That's Batman.
Yeah.
He do the same stare.
I was gonna say, I think my niece and nephew, they'd be along the same, like,
That's Batman.
but I
Daddy,
mean,
that's Batman.
it's a big, like I said, it's a big departure from what we're used to from Bruce Wayne, and even the fact that it started at year 2 and not year 1. I mean, they left some room to show something either
He's
way.
too old to be switching up, man. I know y'all like, oh, he ain't got to that point yet. No, he's 24, dog. I'm guess he's 24. They said he was what, 4 when he died, and it's been 20 years since the anniversary of his father's passing. So that means he's 24.
Yeah.
I'm guessing he's 23, 24. Well, he was in preschool. He
Robert
might be older than
Pattinson
that. I don't even remember.
He's ageless.
So I'm like,
They're gonna let, he was Edward Cullen, yo. Vampires don't age like that.
and he's a Batman now. But
yeah.
So he's 25, 26. You don't.
But he was a decent he was a better Batman than a Bruce Wayne.
He was 100% amazing Batman. But my problem is, again, with that scene is in the funeral, he should be a little more different. He doesn't have to be the complete playboy, but I need to be able to see where he can evolve into that. And everybody like, but that's not.
But by him being awkward like that, don't you sort of feel like it is showing that he has room to grow more into that?
Not a 25-year-old man.
Okay,
if he was 17, I'll give y'all that.
Okay, I mean, you can't, as long as the man's got a reason for the way he feels, you can't. I mean, I felt like they sort of left the door open for the growth to be more sociable, possibly even like with the Catwoman interactions and everything else. Like, I think they left a lot of
awkward in those.
But I understand what you're saying from a pure visual aspect. Robert Pattinson ain't gonna hold this age for too much longer.
Yeah, and you ain't gonna fool us. You ain't gonna you can't. I would be like, that's Batman. That's all I was saying. That's all I'm saying. That he too much. But I mean,
when you read the comic books back in the day, didn't you have sort of the same thoughts though? Like, there were times where people would be like with Bruce Wayne or with another superhero that wasn't in costume, and they do something, you'd be like, I'd have been able to tell right then.
I'm sorry, but Superman, I don't know how nobody could tell Superman. He just put glasses on, dog.
Exactly, bruh. And I'm not a DC fan, so like I said, I'm not used to copping pleas for Bruce Wayne or Clark Kent. I'm not Superman.
This big buff, 220 pounds,
shoot himself out of his fingers.
This 6'4", 225-pound man walking up here, Jack, just twirl his hair up and put glasses on. He's like, oh, he's a different person.
Yeah, it takes off his glasses, and it's all.
That was always my biggest problem with Superman. I'm like, bro, if this Jack dude, if y'all can't tell that this Jack dude is Superman. But to me, I guess it's because this movie, like, in reality based, and it's like a narrative driven, that it bothers me more. And super like, if you had this, I know people gonna say, if you had this happen to you, you wouldn't be like this either. But again, we're not running around in Batman suits.
No.
Yeah, and we're not natural sociopaths who beat up mentally ill people. And I know a lot of people get mad at me saying that, but again, it's.
I mean, Bruce Wayne's done it.
You know what I'm saying,
well, Batman's done it.
But again, let's be honest. Everybody Batman beats up come from Arkham Asylum, which is a mental institution.
I was gonna say, it is in fact a mental institution, and I'm pretty sure almost every significant villain in his rogues gallery has had a stint there, even the ones that aren't from there.
But we can move on because we got to quickly try to get this over because we shout out to AEW Revolution. But Tori, I want to talk about same thing we talked about yesterday. Where do we go from here? I felt like everything from the flood to the crime to no DA leads us to Harvey Dent. How you feel, Tor?
That it makes so much sense that I sort of feel like they have to go a different way because it fits so perfectly that like, but maybe I've been wrong about a lot of movies this past year and part of last year. So, I mean, I could be completely wrong, and they're about to make an amazing sequel here in a couple of years with Harvey Dent because they laid the groundwork for it perfectly. Like you said, from the aftermath to the little scene with the but I have to wonder because it took inspiration from so many different. Like, do you go directly to the most obvious point?
Marvel did
I
it for
sort of
years
want,
and it worked.
yeah, but Marvel started out doing super good though. You know what I
And it
mean?
was simple.
Yeah,
Marvel kept,
I mean it wasn't hard,
unlike that Medea movie I
but I feel
reviewed
like
yesterday, the Tory was on.
yeah,
This movie was simple to the
left
point. This
turns.
movie is simple to the point. Oh, we could get Fear the Reaper too, by the way. If you, I don't know about your tier
Yeah,
Batman. Uh,
there could be a lot of like I think where they sort of pegged him right here is being Alfred trained. Um, we could leave the space open for a Ra's al Ghul League of Assassins storyline somewhere in there where he actually gets the training that we're used to, and maybe he's a little like sort of the way they didn't give us the not to make a constant comparison to Marvel, but the way they gave us Spider-Man in such a different way to where they didn't smack you over the head with the origin story and the dead relatives, and they sort of led into it and sort of started him out different, but built him into the Spider-Man that everybody was yearning and complaining about not getting. I mean, maybe this is a bid to
but
do the same thing
but
with Batman.
but
You start him out way and the age difference. And I see the age difference is big between Tom Holland and Robert Pattinson.
yeah, Tom Holland can grow because he's like a kid, and he can grow into this. But in the show, we know he's not a kid, but in the show, he just applying for college.
Yeah,
In the movie, in the last
and he
movie,
looks at. I mean that it's a big difference, but I feel like we've also sort of got it where we don't see Bruce Wayne young like we see Peter Parker. You know what I
but
mean?
but he's
So
supposed to be young in this, but not. But he should be more
yeah,
younger.
it's year two though. I feel like that was sort of their kind of cop out plea for why he was. If they were going to be like, oh, he's older. Well, I mean, he's already 2 years into this. It ages you a lot. I mean, whatever you want to say. Running around the city fighting people in a crazy costume.
But
I can only imagine how taxing it is.
but Harvey Dent, I think he has to.
He,
Maroney,
he fits so perfectly
Maroni
though
getting
that I
out.
feel like
Maroni
maybe
getting
it's
out of
too
jail. Because let's be
obvious.
honest, Maroni's getting out of jail
Yeah,
because everything
I
been.
like how they. I like the Falcone connection in this. How it was like.
Maroni really
It was really
like. How do you keep Maroni in jail if everything been as accused of a plot on national TV? He got to get out, right?
yeah. I mean,
Like this dude ran him out to take over this drug ring, and they were like all set up by the DA, by the DA's
yeah.
office,
It was
by the commissioner. It was all set up by the same people. So you can't keep a person in jail after the whole district set them up.
yeah. It's literal entrapment. You can't just.
Yeah, you can't. If the DA and them do illegal things, you got it. So Maroni throws acid on Two-Face, Harvey Dent, who is running crime and cleaning up the neighborhood as the last hope, which he's always been. It's easy.
That has been his quintessential role.
And the DA office,
Two-Face is super symbolic.
and the DA office is open. Maroni's getting out of jail. The city is flooded with crime. They need a new DA. It's too easy to make this stuff.
Flooded with water too.
It's easy for the hope of Gotham to come in and Batman be like, maybe he doing it right. Justice. The whole purpose of the second movie was.
Yeah.
Oh, we got two more things I want to talk about, and one is kind of funny. But the Riddler was amazing. Even though he was barely in the movie. He was barely in the movie, but the way they used the clues as the Riddler was incredible.
It really was. I feel like that was one of the more standout parts of this movie, which once again, because I came into it, like I said, very negative. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, how do you make and you once again, right on. I mean, how do you make the Riddler super amazing? You don't have him in it a lot, but you still keep the substance, the essence of the Riddler is there. You know, there's none of this happening without him. And I mean, the parts that he is in are like really some of the more powerful moments in the movies, I feel like, because like I said, from the opening shot where you get the view from behind his mask, I mean, right out of Halloween in 1983, I mean, that sets the tone, something serious like.
Yeah. And
they carried it the whole way through. It felt like the world's greatest detective.
Yeah. The Penguin was amazing.
Slowly learning. It didn't feel like he was currently it feels like we're building to the world's greatest detective.
Yeah, he did make a lot of rookie mistakes. The Penguin was amazing. Yeah. Selena Kyle was amazing.
Bro. Both of them, top notch.
Tori thinks Selena Kyle is the best. I still gotta look at some of the older
best
movies.
Catwoman.
The Penguin is by far the best, easy, and the Riddler the best.
Yeah, there ain't no. That's why I didn't even bring that up. There ain't no clocking that. Colin Farrell, bruh, from the walk to the knocked it all out of the park. Yeah. And the makeup artist, I hope they were heavily compensated for changing that man so thoroughly.
It was amazing looking. Also, like I said, Selena Kyle. It gave me hope for Scarecrow and those people, because I was like, how would they do Scarecrow?
Bro, if they do Scarecrow, like, bro, I sort of, man, if I'd have known this was going to be but do you feel like they sort of missed the Scarecrow window with them starting on Halloween and sort of were missing the long Halloween? And I mean, but it's still like the beginning of it.
I think you can do Scarecrow.
I know we basically sort of got it with the Holiday Killer switched out as Riddler, which was whoever thought of that idea. I bet everyone looked at them crazy and then thought about it and was like, that's amazing. Because, I mean, it was.
I know the Dark Knight series did good with the Scarecrow, but I think they could do something, bro.
Yeah. Dark Knight is still my favorite Batman. I think it's really just the time it took place and but even though I say that now, I feel like after I get to watch the movie a few more times, I might change my mind, because I mean, it was a really good movie.
It was.
Just
I'm putting it
all the way through. Little plot holes and inconsistencies aside, the product as a whole was good, which is saying something for DC, where they've had so many misses.
Yeah, it's not a superhero movie; it's more narrative driven. They have had a lot of success with narrative driven movies.
They have.
I know Tori talked about it earlier, but yeah, it was a scene in there that we mentioned that Batman was beside the Penguin, and then he was in a car in like the next second, and I was like, how did you get over there? I'm like, how did you get there? I know you on the floor with your arm like this, leaning to the side, and then he goes and looks at for a Catwoman, and then you was in your vehicle, and I'm like, how did you get over there? When did they not see you run to your car? Like, it's like 7 people with guns, and like no one sees you run into your car. Were they standing right there?
And the crazy thing is, first watch through, I did not catch that at all. But after going back and reviewing the footage, definite teleportation.
Did they forget to like make that scene? Did they forget that? I think what they did was they probably filmed one scene later, and were like, you know what?
And then
You know what?
Maybe we don't need. They wanted to cut down the runtime just a little bit, so they were like, "We'll cut out this 15 seconds it take to run to the car and dodge some bullets."
I think they reshot the scene when he was looking for Selena Kyle because that looked like that was a later scene.
It did. They did sort of see. Like I said, I didn't notice these differences on the first run.
I'm a movie nerd and I'm a continuity nerd. I'm a writer and I will focus on every little bit of detail of everything that upsets me.
And I'm just there enjoying the moment. Zelmae comes through. He's like, "You know what the problem is here, though?" I'm like, "Oh,
y'all know how."
Dang.
Y'all know how.
Because I don't. Like I said, he's right. You're right though. It does, because you got to think when it comes to comic books, you have these fans that are, because I mean you're coming from comic books, you're writing a story. It's important to fill these. You notice these plot hole inconsistencies a lot more on paper than you do on film. I feel like
New Rock.
So they sort of
like if y'all want to
played with that.
If y'all love new rock stars and groups like that, but you want it negative, look for me. Come here. You know how they look up every little detail of this was in the comic book. I'm looking at why this part was like that, why did that voice not match up in Spider-Man No Way Home? But we ain't gonna talk about that.
Yeah,
it was some scenes I could tell. You know,
by
the way, for people that don't know movies, they film certain scenes afterwards to speak, and they adjust the mouth to do it. And I somehow notice it all the time, and it annoys me. But I notice that nobody else I ever go with noticing it. So I don't even talk about it no more. But I'm like, yo, they edited Doctor Strange part when he was talking about when he came back and said don't do it. They kind of edited it. That was after credit voice.
Yeah, but sometimes I understand because look at how long they had the property for the Batman, and think about the setbacks that COVID brought with it. I mean, I sort of see like because wasn't this movie originally supposed to be Affleck?
I don't remember what it was, but I'm happy that they did.
I was gonna say, I think they said that originally when they first got the movie, it was going to be Ben Affleck that did it, and of course COVID came, and I mean, I think the movie changed directors or something along those lines at some point. So
let obviously us know if y'all noticed anything that I didn't notice. Let us notice anything y'all noticed. Tell us how you felt about the movie. Do you agree with me?
Any inconsistencies that
I would love to go watch it again and rip that part apart. Even though I love it, I will come back and mention it in another podcast.
He's gonna let you know.
Like, this bothered me. I didn't say this.
Like I said. It's in a genre. He's got a standing beef with the cameraman that cut the rope on Finn Balor when he faced Roman Reigns.
Bobby Roode
man got away scot free
in a Continental title match at WrestleMania for Bobby Roode because he cheated him out of the world title. Let's go make it happen. He the cameraman.
Yeah. I was like, dang, look, you on Vince brain. You're like, hey, you were the cameraman once. You the cameraman now.
It's me all along, Balor. It was me all along.
It was me all along, man. It was always me. He's like, I've had this grudge since NXT.
And I forgot it happened. But yeah, man, I appreciate the movie. I love the movie. Go watch it. I recommend it.
It's an amazing.
The music from
this is the first time in a long time I would recommend any DC film, but it's definitely. I mean, like once again, you said it at the beginning. It could be a movie of the year contender easily, which is crazy to say.
And then they gonna
think about how many amazing and how many horrible Batman movies we've had and Batman adaptations.
And we can be ready for them to ruin their goodwill later this year.
Man, because they got a few times to do it.
Yeah, 3 more times.
And I feel like they might have just made. I honestly, I thought about this probably a day after seeing the movie. I was like, did they just set the bar too high for them to regularly attain this? Because this sort of
Black Adam gonna be probably decent. A little bit. Black Adam probably gonna be decent. Gonna be like a rock movie with a new rock thing, and then it's gonna go into
Black Adam's going to drive Mustang or a freaking Grand National at some point in the movie. I feel like.
With shades on, at the end of the movie with a muscle shirt and The Rock just
Yeah.
being gigantic.
He's gonna ask if somebody smells what he's cooking.
Go cut a promo.
There will keep your eyes open, people. Black Adam will hit a rock bottom at some point in the movie. It always happens. Go look every movie The Rock's been in. He has hit one of his finishers in almost every movie he's been in.
Usually on Kevin Hart, they got a super Justice League Pets movie coming out with Kevin Hart and The Rock. I'm like, how many movies The Rock in?
Bruh. As many as he can fit into his day, but we can't get him back in the wrestling ring.
He got 6 movies he filming at the moment in Australia, and then he gotta go to Germany in the same day to film another movie. Then you go back to Australia to film. I'm like, how busy is your life?
You can't come in long enough to take a goddamn spear from your cousin.
Tori, no.
I honestly feel like the insurance for Rock's probably getting too steep for Vince to be seeing profits in it until The Rock is like, I can do it.
Maybe in Hollywood next year, if The Rock don't have as many movies, maybe you get it.
I highly doubt it. If you look at The Rock's trajectory, I say the workload's going nowhere but uphill.
Oh, yeah, COVID ain't here no more. If he didn't come during COVID, I don't know.
Bruh. I would say.
All right, y'all.
If the world wouldn't have shut down for 2 years.
We might have 8 more Rock movies that came out.
I was about to say.
Thank God he did. Because Hobbs and Shaw, we didn't get another Hobbs and Shaw.
See, I didn't care for Hobbs and Shaw.
I ain't gonna lie, I haven't cared about it. I enjoy watching them. I go to the theater to support Vin Diesel, but I'm like, after Fast 5, y'all should have ended this.
I'm numb to Fast and Furious at this point, man. They've done hit the well too many times.
Every Fast 5 shouldn't have ended it. Fast 5 should have been the last
one.
Really, that ended.
They had to bring Han back. They shouldn't have done, even though I love Tokyo Drift, for the soundtrack alone. It was literally one of the soundtracks to my childhood. Tokyo Drift was a big part of my identity as a kid. That movie was amazing. But it definitely, think about it. They had to bring Han back to life. You had to retroactively resurrect somebody because of a movie that we all thought was the end in 2003.
Tell me that wasn't the perfect ending to this whole series.
Yeah, and that's before.
The ending made me cry, dog. The ending made me cry. That's all you need to know.
Dang. Hey, that's when you know it's deep.
I'm like, oh man, y'all brought him back at the end to say goodbye, and then they just travel their separate ways, and I'm like,
it was finally separating.
And they were like, I'm like, this is it, and then they gave me 5 more that I kind of didn't ask for.
Yeah.
And then they start doing.
But think about how much money they made. When you look at that, can you really, to a call back to your Medea review? When the money gets cut like that, do you ignore it, or you just throw something out there because you're trying to get paid at the end of the day?
I ain't gonna lie. I'm gonna watch all the Medea movies. I'm gonna watch all the Fast movies. I support the people I support. And it's
but you see what I'm saying? When you have people of that opinion. Logically, why wouldn't you just throw out whatever if you know your fan base is finna? Very much how Vince did us with wrestling for so long. He was like, I'm the only game in town, Jack.
I'm not gonna lie though. The nostalgia kind of wearing off. Medea. That might be.
It's been so.
You do one more.
It's been so heavy with everything. Everything is nostalgia based, and I think it's kind of more crazy for us because it's like all this nostalgia is from like our childhoods. It's not really like it was when we were growing up, where it was more of our parents and grandparents' childhoods. We were sort of kind of seeing either the separation or the reconvening of styles. But it's crazy nowadays. If people thought the 90s were nostalgia filled, these 2010s and teens were different.
Yeah,
the nostalgia's running right back around.
Yeah, it's a lot of nostalgia, and I'm tired. I'm Tyler Perry. I'm gonna say you like I did Kevin Hart. You put out one more. Like
I saw somebody with Jinko jeans not too long ago. Like the actual giant leg Jinko jeans. Like, bro, those are a health hazard. You're gonna hurt yourself walking around in them. You're gonna trip.
Yeah. We got a lot of shows this week. We got Thursday. We got of course we got Just a Fan. Friday we got Man Cave. We got Keep It 99 Live. Wednesday we have another show. We have Just a Fan Wrestling on Friday. We got a lot of shows coming at the end of the week. This week we're talking about culture and a bunch of other stuff. So go watch that. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Notification bell. We'll be here during we'll try to do as many big name movies as possible. So you probably see me, Tor, and some other people on. What's the next movie coming out? Doctor Strange, probably.
Yeah, Doctor Strange is coming. Multiverse of Madness.
You'll see me probably by myself because they don't really watch other movies like on Netflix. Random movie that come out. So you'll probably see me a lot more. So you'll see me.
That's the blockbusters. That's about.
Yeah.
We'll
probably be here for Moon Knight, so you can probably see Tori and everybody.
Yeah, Moon Knight's man. I got a lot of hope riding in Moon Knight. Yeah. I just need to switch to the R rating. But I feel like this Batman, to keep everything right, nice and consistent for you, I feel like this Batman sort of showed how you could push the line and have the movie be PG-13, but the feel was not remotely PG, at least to me. Even though they didn't go out of their way for it to be extra gruesome, even though I'm fairly sure I saw Saw Trap in this movie at some point.
They did,
so
but they made it grainy.
Artistic inspiration.
They made it grainy.
Taken.
So you couldn't see it really.
But it was just from top to bottom, it was a good movie. Even when you take into consideration the little parts that were inconsistent or the changes that we didn't quite like to the character, which is, I mean, that's going to be in every adaptation. I feel like outside of those, I mean, it was top to bottom an amazing movie. I'm pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, and don't forget thumb drive is the clue. Thumb drive.
Yeah, thumb drive, bro.
Like, this is
the fact that the Riddler thought about it, that Batman would never know what a carpet tool was because he was a billionaire.
He probably think Batman was poor after we found out. He probably thought he was poor. Like, he came from us. He don't know what this is. And Bruce like, I ain't never seen this before.
He was like, I do not know remotely what this is.
And then the random dude told him that, hey, bro, that's a carpet. He's like, oh, so I used this on. Oh, that's the clue. I figured out.
URL.
But Batman figured out the other clues.
I mean, the riddles were an amazing part unto themselves. That is a well advice right there.
Yeah. We're about to get out of here. Thank y'all for watching. Keep stomping. Hopefully something amazing happen. Tori, where can they find you at?
You're AfroCommy765 on everything. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all that jazz. It's AfroCommy765. Links in the description. You already know.
And you can find me here. Linktree in the bio. You can go get my book. You can go get my merch. The Overall 99 merch. You can get whatever. It's all in the Linktree below. I'm always here. I'm on the Overall 99 content channel, the sport channel. I'm on my own Zelmae channel. I'm on somebody else's channel doing something somewhere. I'm always around doing something because that's what I like to do. And keep stopping. Again, something amazing will happen. Go watch Batman. The Batman, really good.
Yeah, most definitely.